his cave.
Here we go. Oh my God!
Whoa. Is it? Is that owl a boy or a girl?
So this is Richard. He is a boy. He is a great horned owl. And you will notice he doesn't actually have any horns. And they get their name from those feathers on their heads. And those feathers can also tell us how he might be feeling. When those feathers are standing up straight, that usually means the great horned owl is very alert. But when those feathers are, everyone's favorite picture, when those feathers are laying down like this, that means they're nice and relaxed. So right now, he's in a good place. Now, being active at night means you have to be able to find your food with close to no light out. So they have some really good senses that help with that. Number one is they have massive eyes. If you had eyes like an owl, they'd be as large as your fist. And those large eyes make it easy for them to see when there's a little bit of light out, so at night, and also means that they can see really far away. But you may notice that he doesn't have the largest beak, and you see that tuft of feathers around his beak there? I like to think of that as a very helpful mustache.
Whoa.
Those feathers actually help him to feel when there's food in front of his face, because otherwise he can't see things really close to his head. Good job, but that's not food.
Oh my God. That was so funny. Hey, hey, what's not food?
I know. He has to make sure. He also can't move his eyeballs like we can. So to be able to see what's going on around him, he can turn his head 3/4 of the way in a circle. That would be like you taking your chin, moving it to one shoulder, and then all the way back around to the other shoulder. And that happens so they can see what's going on, and they're able to do that because they have more bones in their neck than we do, giving them greater flexibility. They also have a wonderful sense of hearing. And you might be wondering, where on earth are his ears? I don't see it. But do you see those black rings on the outside of his eyes there?
Whoa.
They're actually underneath the feathers, right behind those black rings. And they can actually hear incredibly well, because the feathers around their face can catch sound and then lead it directly to their ears. And they actually have one ear that's higher than the other one, because that makes it easier for them to figure out the exact location of a sound. So Richard here can actually hear so well that he would be able to catch a small mouse 2 feet underneath the snow without being able to look at it. He can go and catch it using only his hearing. He can actually hear so well that right now he can hear my heartbeat.
Whoa.
Okay. Now the other sense that they have, I mentioned their big eyes and their big ears. And their ears and eyes are so big that when we do checkups on them, we will pull back the feathers and look in their ear to make sure they're nice and clean and healthy. And you can actually see the back of their eyeballs when you look inside their ear. And they look for some food. Some other interesting adaptations is those very quiet feathers that I just showed you on the wing. They even have feathers on their feet to keep them nice and warm during winter. They have a special toe that can flip to the front of their foot or the back, depending on what they're doing. And they also have one of the strongest grips out of all the raptors. They can squeeze at around 500 pounds per square inch, which is roughly 5 times stronger than the average adult human's grip. I think it's really interesting. Yeah, good question.
Where do you live, the owl?
He lives with us at the Raptor Center, but the reason he came to us has a little bit to do with that sound that he's making. You hear that little high-pitched chittering sound? That is usually what you hear from a baby owl. So Richard here is 24 years old. So he's getting up there for a great horned owl. And the reason he's making those sounds is because Richard does not know he's an owl. What we think happened is when he was young, he accidentally fell out of his nest. And some people found him on the ground, and they really wanted to help, but they didn't know exactly what to do. So they ended up picking him up, taking him home, and giving him food, thinking, when he's he's big enough, he'll just fly away by himself. But something happens to these birds when they're in the nest, and that process is called imprinting. It's basically, as their parents are giving them food, they're able to figure out, oh, I'm this type of bird, and this is how I should act. But he never did that with great horned owls. He did that with people instead. So he has no idea how to act like a great horned owl or how to survive out in the wild, which is unfortunately why he's the best at the raptors. So if you ever do find a baby bird on the ground, the best thing to do is to give it plenty of space, because the parents are usually nearby, up in a tree, waiting until it's completely safe before they come down to get their chick. Now, if you want to see great horned owls out in the wild, it might be kind of tough, because they're most active at night. However, by looking around on the ground, you can find signs of if a great horned owl might be living nearby. And remember, we want to see raptors out in the wild because they're indicating or telling us that it's a very healthy environment. Now, the reason you want to look on the ground is because of how they eat. And I actually have for dinner a dead mouse to feed to him. Is that okay? Yeah. Yeah? All right. So I'm going to give him a dead mouse. I want you to look and see what he does. As I reach for this mouse, he's going to get very excited. And if you don't want to see him eat a dead mouse, it's totally fine. I'm going to count to 3 so you can close your eyes if you like. All right, are you ready? And he's very excited. Very good. Look. Where you supposed to look. Go forward. All right. 1, 2, and 3.
Whoa.
Just like spaghetti. Now, as he eats that mouse, it's going to go into his stomach, and he's going to start to break it down and dissolve it. All the gooey bits of that mouse, he gets energy, he gets nutrients, delicious. But mice, like other mammals, have fur and they have bones. And that's really hard to dissolve or break down in their stomach. So those fur bones and that fur is going to get wrapped up into a tight ball, and it's going to sit there in his stomach. And these birds want to stay as light as possible all the time, because they don't want to use too much energy when they're flying. So to get that ball of fur and bones out of his stomach, he has to So if you ever find a ball of fur and bones on the ground, there's a very good chance that is an owl pellet that will tell you there's one living nearby. All right. You all did a fantastic job. Are there any questions that I can answer about Richard, great horned owls, or just in general? Yeah.
Is there any food besides the mouse that he eats?
We also give them some rats and occasionally quail too.
Hey,
Yeah.
never mind.
Oh, that's pretty good. You post on Facebook? Oh, very nice. You know which kind of owl it is? Well, what color is it? So he is more of a brown and gray. However, depending on the area, sometimes those colors can be a little bit different. Actually, by listening to the sound, it'll tell you what kind of owl it might be. So that's good that you're observing that, because you might be able to figure out what the species is. Oh, well, thank you for sharing. I really appreciate it. Twilight fan? See my birds and they work. Any questions? Yeah. Sorry, can you say that a little bit louder? You believe they have really good hearing? Yeah, that is exactly right. They Out of all the raptors have the best hearing, and that's because they rely on their hearing for being able to hunt and find their food. But not all owls are nocturnal. There's some that are very active during the day. It just depends on their lifestyle. Did you have a question?
Yes. How long have you had,
Richard, he is 20, what did I say, 24? So we've had him, I think, about 22 and a half years. Telling the age of these birds isn't always easy, unless we get them in their hatch year or the first year that they were born. Sometimes we can look at the feathers on the underside of their wing, because each year they molt or they grow new feathers. So sometimes you can tell how many times they've molted. That can be a good indication as to their age and level. Questions? Yeah.
How many mice or rats sizes did Richard eat in a day?
He eats probably around 3 mice, about that big each day. During the winter, he'll eat twice as much just to help keep him warm.
yeah, I'm just curious, where do they live? Except for the ones that live with you, where will I find them?
They love to make their nests or live near large, tall trees. So sometimes they'll come out into urban areas looking for food, but for the most part, they like to get tree cavities and big trees. So anywhere with a really dense forest, they'll be hanging out there. So you guys have follow-up
They
questions?
also kind of like that, do they live all over Minnesota, or mostly in certain parts of Minnesota?
They basically live all over Minnesota. I think they're the most common owl. Yeah, they are the most common owl in Minnesota. Yeah.
You know that owls hoot at night, roosters cock-a-doodle-doo at day.
Yeah, the roosters cock-a-doodle they like to hoot at night, and that's their way of communicating. And I'm glad you like the owls. If you ever hear them hooting, that's probably their way of saying, this is my home, go somewhere else. Or to letting other owls know that they're single and ready to mingle. Yeah. Yeah, they can track down mice. They can eat things bigger. They do sometimes eat skunks. They don't have much of a sense of smell, so it's not a problem for them. Whatever they can lift, and they can only lift about half of their body weight, and he weighs close to 3 pounds. As long as it's under 1.5 pounds, he'll pick it up and he'll eat it. Yeah.
I love owls, I can see them in my trip.
Oh, that's really cool. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. Yeah. He lives with us at the Raptor Center. He has his own separate enclosure that's outside.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I saw you last week.
Well, you saw Allison last week.
Yes.
Well, if you come to the Raptor Center and get a tour, you can see all the owls that we have. Here at night, especially.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah,
I
I
like you think you're saying that. All right. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I was gonna ask, how many eggs do owls lay and how often do they lay?
They lay once a year, usually in the late winter, early springtime. So that's when all of our owls know that it's nesting season, and their behavior changes a lot. And they usually lay between 2 to 4 eggs sometimes. But you can tell that this owl is imprinted on a person or people and doesn't know how to act like an owl, because during nesting season, he's looking to start a family, and instead of trying to impress the other owls, he tries to impress people instead. So when I walk by, he'll sometimes sit there, move his head back and forth, and be like, hey, baby, how's it going? Yeah. You want to start a family? Yeah. Which, I'm sorry, dude, you're not my type.
Maybe try close with you.
Yeah, probably. Follow?
I was gonna say, my follow-up question, does he change diapers?
Not well. Probably not with these towels.
How's the food work?
Yeah.
I'm just curious, he's holding his left wing a little bit different, is that just how he's sitting, or does he have any sort of?
That is partially how he's sitting, and he also does not have the healthiest bone structure.